Hello, this presentation is going to be all about building a winning resume or a CV. So thinking of the components of what's inside of a resume or a CV, we're going to start with the heading. You could include an objective. You'll want to include your education, some experiences, and skills. Now, if you're focusing on a CV, you'll also want to include research work, maybe even research interests. If you're focusing on academia, maybe you want to include any teaching experience you have or teaching interests you're aiming for. Include any posters, publications, or presentations that you've done. And in a CV, you get to include your references. Thinking about the formatting and appearance, a resume should only be 1 page long. You should generally have only 1 inch on all of your margins. Use a standard font like Times New Roman, Arial, Aptos, Calibri, and keep your font between 10 and 12 point. Make sure you're being consistent using the same type font throughout. The only thing that should be bigger is your heading, your name. Speaking of your heading, the top of the page is going to have your name big and bold. You'll include not your street address, but at least the location in which you're looking, the city, the state, the zip code. Include a phone number that they'll be able to contact you with and an email that you regularly check. And then, of course, it would be great if you can include your LinkedIn URL as well. You can include an objective. Now, this is optional. This is just a simple statement specifying exactly what type of role you're applying to. This is great, especially when you're applying for a program like CWEP with Lockheed Martin that's going to have multiple roles that you could apply to with different hiring managers. But a lot of the times when you're applying online, you don't necessarily need an objective because you'll be applying for that specific position anyways. Don't forget your education, of course. You're here at the University of Central Florida, so that should be top of the page. It's going to be in reverse chronological order, so if you have any other AA degrees or things like that, you could put that underneath. Your Bachelor's of Science or Arts here at the University of Central Florida. Don't forget the name of your major, if you're doing any minors or certificates, and don't forget your GPA. You will want to include your GPA if it is at least a 3.0 or higher. If it's not quite there yet, that's okay. We don't need it on the resume just yet, but if it is a 3 or higher, make sure it's there. Experience. This can come from all kinds of opportunities. Maybe it's volunteer work, a paid position, an unpaid position. Maybe it was only seasonal. Maybe you've done some other experiences outside the classroom, projects or academic research. Maybe you have international experience like studying abroad. All kinds of things could fall under your experience section. Maybe you want to specify the experience section. Maybe you want to highlight your teaching experience or your research experience. Or maybe you just want to call it relevant experience or just work experience. There's lots of different things that you can include. You'll want to make sure your bullets are starting with action verbs and that they're varying in different types of verbs for each experience. Speaking of bullets, when you are writing a bullet, try to think PAR, project, action, result. Describe the task, the job, the project. What action did you take and what was the result? Especially if you can quantify, include any kind of numbers in your bullet, that's going to be super helpful. There's all kinds of other things you should include. Definitely make sure you're including your skills, but maybe you want to include any kind of memberships, any student clubs or activities that you're a part of. Maybe under your education section, you want to include any honors or scholarships or awards. Maybe there's other activities, leadership or projects or competitions or any other kind of experiences that you want to highlight as well. You could include on your resume. Now, your references should not be on your resume. That's going to be a separate document that you attach if you include your references. On your CV, however, you can include it. It would be the last part of your CV. You would want to include at least 3 references, probably no more than 4 if you have those. And of course, make sure you have permission from your references to be including them on your CV for the different requirements or applications you're applying to. Again, the difference between a resume and a CV, a resume is only 1 page, maybe 2 full pages, but typically 1 page is best. Most recruiters, employers, folks reviewing resumes are only going to look at that first page. Now, references can be included, but they'll be a separate document. And they're typically used for applying for most jobs, internships, and positions. A CV, however, is typically only used for applying for research roles, graduate school, and academia work. So, like being a professor or teacher. For the most part, it can be many pages. It doesn't need to just be one page. You'll want to still highlight more relevant experiences like research or teaching, because that's what the resume or CV is going to be applying for. And you can include your references. That'll be at the last part. Now, when you're making your resume, you want to make sure you don't have a lot of crazy graphics or colors or fonts because most resumes, even for graduate schools, are going through the ATS, the application tracking system. Now, this is a program that helps read the resumes and CVs to make sure that there's keywords are being highlighted so it can pull those resumes to the top of the list. So make sure that you do have good keywords in your resume bullets, in your skill settings, to make sure that those are being highlighted, and quantify your experiences. Now, because we have this computer program reading our resumes, we want to make sure that it can do that. So the graphics, pictures, and colors can mess with that computer program being able to read your resume. So we want to avoid those altogether. Same with other things like templates that can mess things up with the formatting. So for the most part, just start with a regular Google Doc, Word doc, and type it out from there. And of course, make sure you have an updated PDF that you've just recently saved from that Word doc or Google Doc so that you know it's going to be seen. If you need help with your resume, maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you want to make sure that you are tailoring it to specific roles, check out VMOC, vmoc.com/UCF, log in with your NID and NID password, and you'll get to upload your resume or start a whole new resume on there. And it's got a lot of really good points and formatting help, based on jobs that are already out there and based on the resume templates that we've sent to VMOC. So definitely check out utilizing VMOC to help you with your resume. And of course, you've got us in career services. We do regular drop ins, pop ins, and appointments. So you can book on Handshake to meet with us. Check out our website. We have a lot of good resume help and a resume template. Shoot us an email or check us out on any of our social media.